but I came back in 1975, and I've spent quite a bit of time overseas as well. But when I first came to Kinsale, it was bottom of what we call the Tidy Towns competition. This is when towns and villages of comparable size compete with each other, not just to be tidy, but just to be beautiful places to live. And it was bottom of the Tidy Towns. It was a former fishing village, it had some nice buildings, but it was quite rackety. But of course, when you're at the bottom, there's only one way to go, and that is up. And up they went, and then started attracting a lot of restaurants to come over. And it has more restaurants in Kinsale than in any other side. And they were very much the Blackened Towns and the auxiliaries were the alternative forces, because the British could not send their normal army to Ireland because there were 200,000 Irish men in the British army. So they sent these auxiliary forces that were quite brutal. They started the burning at Cork City, and then they continued it through Patrick Street, which is the main shopping street. And at that time, 30 businesses were burned, and 300 houses. So 2,000 people were put out of work, and 2,000 people were homeless. And that was one of the things which actually pushed the British to think, well, we're going to have to talk about independence because we've lost control of Ireland. So either side of us, that's the banking of some of the great banks that came from the merchant. The one on the right hand side was the Cork Savings Bank. That was known as the Penny Bank. That was when there was an encouragement for people to actually start saving their pennies, and a lot of that was through the good offices of Father Matthew, and we will actually see Father Matthew's statue. And Father Matthew was the apostle of temperance. Before the famine, he managed to get hundreds of thousands to actually join up and take the plague. Okay, you know, a true Cork experience is a glass of Murphy's and a whiskey chaser. Certainly, there are many people who do not actually drink in Ireland as well. That still exists. So we're going along what's called Merchants Quay. Of course, this is where all the merchants used to be. And up until the time of the 1800s, the ships would have been, I mean, obviously they were much smaller, the ships, than they are today, the cargo ships. But they actually look at the lights. The lights are reflecting the sailing history of Cork. They're to actually look like masts. And that is because it was so important, a merchant city, Cork. And as I said, many of the families here, particularly the Quakers and the Huguenots, they were the ones who actually leased the marshy land from the corporation and started developing the city. So Patrick Street was very badly damaged, the retail street, so a lot of that was rebuilt in the 1920s. That was reparation from the British for what their forces had done. On the left-hand side here, we've got the Opera House and the red brick building alongside it. Well, that was the custom house. They used to sail up to there and tie up in front of the customs house. Where we have the Opera House, that used to be the assembly rooms. You know, you've got to think Downton Abbey, think Pride and Prejudice. Everybody would have been swanning round there in their finery. It took 1,500 people for the assembly rooms. They would have the pumps, etc., that everybody would have gone to. They would have had their dancers in Cork City. And Cork City has a reputation for its literary heritage, for its arts. for the theatre, but also for its food. It's very much a foodie city. Now, we are passing on our left, and you are going to be ignoring what it says when it says Heineken. This is not Heineken, because this building in front of us is Murphy's. That is Murphy's Brewery, and still says Heineken. We're ignoring that. That's Murphy's Brewery. It was started in the 1800s. It was the second major brewery in Cork City, the first major brewery in the country.